So how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Now, it's been some time since I've made another video on this channel. The channel name is SwanyPlaysGames after all, but unfortunately there just hasn't been that many new games coming out this year in 2021, with everything getting delayed, pushed back. Everything that I was going to cover this spring has all been pushed back to the fall or even later. So this whole year has just kind of been a disaster for video games in general. But overall, this year for E3 is pretty disappointing. There's a lot of games that just don't look very good, and there aren't that many new announcements. There just isn't much going on this fall. And there's a couple games that I'm kind of interested in, but the focus of today's video is this new Guardians of the Galaxy game that was just announced by Square Enix. Now, obviously, I like Marvel. I did cover Marvel's Avengers on this channel back when it first launched, and since then, it hasn't exactly had the greatest reputation. It's kind of gone downhill since last year. The player base numbers have just done nothing but dwindle. So obviously, when Square Enix announced that they are going to do a new Guardians of the Galaxy game, there was already a lot of backlash. But for this video, I just kind of want to go over my thoughts of the game so far. And it's not all completely bad. There are some redeeming qualities, I think, about the game that I'm kind of looking forward to. Now, I'm going to wait till this game is released before I get it. I don't think I'm going to just go ahead and jump straight into this game like I did with Marvel's Avengers, because I already learned my lesson with that. But there are some things in the gameplay that they showed that I thought was pretty interesting. So let's start with the good things first. Now, some of the things that I saw from the gameplay that I enjoyed was like the banter between the characters. Now, it is a Guardians of the Galaxy game, and one of the things that I love so much about the movies was, you know, all the banter that you would see between all the characters, like Drax and Groot, or Groot and Rocket, or Gamora and Drax. Like, you name the combo, they all had some sort of funny interaction, and, you know, they were kind of like pals, they were friends, they would like pick on each other and whatnot, but, you know, it was fun, it was entertaining, and I like that that was kind of here in this gameplay trailer. I like the fact that throughout the entire time, like even if they're in combat or if they're just walking through the environment, they're all talking to each other. There seems to be a lot of dialogue. There was some jokes thrown in there. That's the kind of thing that I would look forward to. That has my interest. That's the kind of thing that would like sell me on this game. If there's a lot of good writing and funny banter and stuff that would keep me entertained throughout playing it, then, you know, that's good. That's worth looking into. And if it's good enough, if the writing's good enough, that might be worth checking out the game just for that alone.
I ever mentioned how much I hate rain? Hellbender's castle isn't even that far.
That is not a castle. It is an impregnable fortress.
So how do we impregnate it?
Ask Peter!
Let's just get closer. We'll figure it out on the way.
And then another thing that's pretty big in the gameplay trailer is the fact that there are different choices that you can make. Now, I've seen a bunch of different games that have claimed in the past that your choices matter, like Telltale Games or Cyberpunk. Like, I've seen a bunch of games claim that your choices matter, and they end up in the long run just not mattering at all, because all the different outcomes that you pick all lead to the same ending. But they showed off some gameplay where you can make some different choices. There's different options where you can like trick this villain by selling Groot or selling Rocket to them, and they just give you a bunch of different options before the mission starts and during the mission, and they even give you the chance to go back and change your mind on certain decisions, and they made it seem like your choices actually matter. Some games do this really well, like Mass Effect, where your choices actually have some weight to them. So if your choices actually matter in this game, then that opens the door to a lot of replayability, and you could play the game the first time and make certain choices, and then you could go back and play it again, the complete opposite choices. I like when games do that. It gives you choices, it makes your game feel unique. I just hope that, like, if you pick certain options and then you decide to load your save and pick different options, it doesn't have the same exact outcome, because then your choices don't really matter. So having different choices in the game could be a pretty big deal, and that would kind of sell me on the game, because I really like Mass Effect and I like games like that. So seeing that carry over to like a Marvel game, I think that's really, really cool, and I like that idea.
Peter?
Aren't you forgetting something?
Oh, right. The cage.
The point of even getting the Flarkin thing was looking like we mean business.
All right, Rocket. Time to put on your monster face.
I only got one face, Quill.
Are you sure about this, Peter? Look at him. You better have one hell of a sales pitch.
Maybe Gamora's right. We should try selling Groot instead.
Really?
This is an affront to democracy.
I just think that we might need Rocket on the outside for this one.
Yeah, we noticed.
And then another thing that I saw in the gameplay, which has been confirmed, is the fact that there is like old music that will play during your fights and stuff, kind of just like in the Guardians of the Galaxy. The music was pretty important to Star-Lord, and that carries over to this game. Like if you're in a fight, the music will play, and the music I think even gives you a buff in certain situations. I'm just a big fan of old music to begin with. That's just my type of music. And the songs that they played in the trailer, I was a fan of, and I think this is just really cool. You don't really see this too often in games. You don't really have a soundtrack play as you're kicking butt and stuff, and I think that's just a really good touch. I think it's going to be really cool to engage in fights and stuff while all this music's playing, and I hope that there's a pretty big library of music that you can play whenever you want. I hope that you have a little bit of control over the music and it just doesn't play random music, but I do like that idea, and I like that that's a mechanic that they've added to the game.
Guys, huddle up! Already missing the jiggle jellies!
They keep moving around!
It is past time, my blade! Don't get too close to that mouse! We can't
But that doesn't mean that there isn't some questionable things that I saw in this trailer, and there's quite a number of questionable things. And I wasn't the only one that had these concerns. If you check anywhere on the internet regarding this game, either Twitter, YouTube videos, I mean, you name it, it's getting a lot of backlash, and kind of rightfully so. For example, the character models are pretty hideously ugly. I mean, they're pretty bad. When it comes to Groot and Rocket, I think those character models are fine. I'm not really a big fan of Rocket's beard that he has going on. That kind of bugs me, but it's kind of hard to mess up Groot and Rocket. I think they both look pretty much fine. But when it comes to Drax and Gamora and Star-Lord, I don't know what they were thinking, and the internet is just memeing the crap out of it. People are calling him Uncle Drax because he looks like Uncle Fester, and if you do a side-by-side comparison, I mean, he pretty much does look like Uncle Fester. This is one of the best comparisons I saw. This guy said Drax looks like he was made in the WWE Create a Superstar mode. Yeah, I think that's perfect. If you've ever played a WWE game, you know exactly what he's talking about. It looks like it took them like 2 minutes to make this character model. They just had a default face and then just slapped some paint on him. And then if you look at Star-Lord's face, I mean, he just looks weird. I think it's probably his haircut. This guy said it perfectly. I'm so used to Chris Pratt as Star-Lord that this looks fucking off to me. And I mean, yeah, the problem with these Marvel games, I mean, I understand they can't make them look exactly like their MCU counterparts, but they can at least try a little bit. Because most of the Marvel fans nowadays have seen the MCU. Everybody's used to the MCU, and they're used to the way that the MCU characters look. So when you have a character like Star-Lord, and everyone's used to seeing him look like Chris Pratt, and then you have this new guy come in, and he looks like this. He looks like somebody you'd see off of TikTok or something. It just doesn't sit right. He just looks weird. And if you looked at the whole group of them, I mean, Gamora just looks like she's not supposed to be there either. She just looks off. Her body looks weird. Her face looks weird. It's just Gamora, Star-Lord, and Drax just don't fit. This person says they gave Rocket a beard, Gamora short hair, Peter looking less like Chris Pratt, and said MCU, we don't know her. So I definitely think that they probably needed to delay this game a little bit, maybe to do some touches on the graphics or something, do some character model updates. I mean, we still have a couple months before this game comes out. It's supposed to come out in the fall. Hopefully they can do an overhaul to those character models because they look pretty bad, to be honest. I mean, they're pretty hideous. And then the second big concern that a lot of people have been having, and I also share this concern, is that you can only play as Star-Lord. Like this person said, why only one playable character though? They're obviously not very happy. This person said, as if the character designs weren't enough, you can only play as Star-Lord. Hard pass. And there's been so much backlash about only playing as one character and this being a single player only game and no multiplayer. Jason Schreier tweeted, he says, if you're curious, Guardians of the Galaxy was actually a single player game way before the launch of Avengers. This isn't a reaction to the game flopping. And then he says it looks great too. So Jason is apparently a fan of what he's seen so far. But that part does confuse me. I don't really understand why it's single player only. If they're going with the single player only approach, this game definitely needs to be a lot longer in length. If they're not focusing on any multiplayer stuff, this game needs to take you probably more than a week to beat. It needs to have some length to it. It needs to have a lot of replayability. It can't just be half-assed like the Avengers story was. But being only able to play as one member of the Guardians of the Galaxy is really weird to me and to a lot of other people. Like, only getting to play as Star-Lord limits you to what you can do. Like, a lot of people want to play as Drax and be like the beefy tank kind of character. Playing as Groot would be really cool because you're also a beefy tank kind of character. You could use his like plant abilities. Switching to Rocket, you'd be small, quick, and have a lot of different weapons that you can use. And same with Gamora. She'd be like an assassin kind of ninja type character, jumping around using different swords and stuff. Different kind of moves would come with each of the characters, but only locking it down to Star-Lord just seems really weird. I think it would have done them a lot better if they had some sort of system where you could just switch characters on the fly. That way the combat would feel a lot smoother. You could do some pretty cool combos. That's not the approach they went with. Like, there is a system where you can tell your teammates to activate certain abilities and pull off combos that way. But, I mean, not everybody likes Star-Lord in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Everybody has their own sort of favorite character from that group. So it is a really odd choice to limit it to just one main character and sticking with Star-Lord. Now, I personally like Star-Lord as a character. I like his personality, I like his gadgets and stuff, but even I still want to play as maybe Groot or something. I think playing as Groot would be pretty cool. So there's definitely a lot of questions in regards to this game. And the graphics overall, I mean, they look passable, but they don't look amazing. I mean, we're getting into the next generation of consoles. Everything should be going up in graphics, not staying the same or going down. It honestly looks pretty comparable to Avengers in terms of graphics, which is another reason why I'm sure a lot of people are concerned, because Avengers promised a lot of things and we just never got most of those things. And all those problems that were in Avengers at launch are still in this game almost an entire year later. A lot of very basic problems still aren't fixed with that game. Spider-Man still hasn't come to PlayStation for the Avengers game, so a lot of people are angry about that. So this game looks pretty hit and miss. It looks like it has its ups and downs. Like I said, I think they need to probably delay this. I think it needs a little bit more tweaking based off the character models that I've seen, and maybe they need to rethink the whole playing as just Star-Lord thing. I mean, they already have the animations and the different ability sets for these other characters based off of the gameplay. I think that would do them a lot of good if they just delayed this by like another year or half a year, maybe updated the graphics, let you play as other characters, and make sure the choices actually matter, because it does look promising. It does have some redeemable qualities. I am a little bit interested in this, but I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. Maybe wait till reviews come out for this one. Depending on the reviews of this game will probably determine if I cover it on the channel or not. I did cover Avengers on the channel, and I did have some success, but I couldn't have possibly predicted what was going to happen with Avengers. Same with Cyberpunk. The games look promising at launch, and then they always go downhill, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. There are other games coming out this fall that I'm excited for, such as Halo or Battlefield. I'm pretty excited for Battlefield, and I'll probably cover that on the channel. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. I want to hear your guys' opinions on the good and the bad things in regards to the Guardians of the Galaxy game. Are you guys going to give this game a chance, or did the Avengers game leave a bad taste in your mouth like it did with me and a lot of other people? But that is going to do it for this video, guys. I should be making a lot more videos here in the future now that E3 is come and gone, and I know what is going to happen here with the next couple months. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, or a thumbs down if you didn't. If you've been missing out on my live streams, I stream on Twitch now at SwanyPlaysGames Live. I stream there pretty much daily. And that is going to do it for me, everyone, and I will talk to you all in the next video.